wrestling person,
Yeah.
and he pretty much became like this guy that is like a mainstay in like WWE. Like he is beloved by everybody.
Okay.
Even when he was hated, he was loved because he was just so good at what he did.
Because is he still fighting wrestling?
Yeah, he actually main evented WrestleMania night one with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and
Oh, okay.
I won that match. Did he win that match?
You talking about CM Punk?
Yeah,
Nah, he didn't. Seth Rollins
Seth
won.
Rollins did. Yeah, yeah, Seth Rollins did.
Okay, okay.
Wait, so Chava, what did you think of WrestleMania, man?
Well, it was my first WrestleMania, and I mean, first of all, just from event, uh, how do you call it? Like the stage was insane. Like the level of production, like event production, it's crazy. Like the amount of money that goes into those things. Uh, and then yeah, obviously I didn't. Well, I knew John Cena and like Randy Orton and I think that's about it. Those are the only two I like kind of knew because they've been on forever, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I really like that one guy, the Mexican guy, Penta. He's really cool. And then from the actual fights, I really like the two heavyweights, McIntyre and
yeah.
the other guy.
Oh, and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the women is like a little not as flashy, I guess, from what the guys do. And but yeah, I think overall, I don't know. I'm still in that in the way that it's like to me it's still like a Broadway show, but it's treated like a sport, you know? It's like I get the event itself, but then the like ESPN like talking about oh my God, this guy's legacy, and it's like, would you do that for a Broadway show? It's like that's the thing, you know?
See,
But
that's why I think
yeah, yeah,
that's why I think it's in rarefied air, right? Because
yeah.
it's like it's a weird thing because like even from knowing of like obviously people like John Cena for so many years. Like seeing him wrestle yesterday was one of those things I was like, That's the dude from the DC movies. Like, that's crazy." Like that's like where my mind went. 'Cause it's just like, wow, like this was what he originally did, and now he's just in DC movies. Like
He
it's
had
like a weird thing. Like,
he had some moves for
yeah,
his
like,
age. Like, how old is he?
definitely.
How old's John Cena?
he's got to be
But like
mid
mid
40s.
to late 40s.
Yeah, mid late 40s.
Let me Google real quick. John Cena is 47.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, do you guys know the story of like Cody Rhodes and why? No?
Yeah.
Do you know Femi?
Oh wait, Corey Rhodes and what?
Just like the story of like his whole ascendance to where he is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
so basically, so basically, Chava. So the reason why Cody is so significant in WWE was because his father used to be a wrestler, and then he joined the company, and he didn't really do as good as everyone hoped he would. So he couldn't get out of his contract. So he basically told them like, "Hey, fire me so I can do something else." So they fired him. And over the course of his hiatus, he just started doing like independent shows like everywhere from like Ohio to like overseas. And over the years, he created a company called AEW that is now
Okay.
like number two,
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah.
right? So he was the one that created it, right? So that's why he's so significant because no other person has like started a rival competition and then joined back with
Mm.
the company,
Okay, that makes
because he was able to negotiate himself like from bottom of the barrel to like highest paid in the business. So like that's why a lot of people are like, wow, this guy's very impressive,
so
So
he hustled his way back.
most definitely, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Seriously,
definitely that. Oh wait, what were you about to say?
not you.
I was about to say he's like definitely that guy I think that helped bridge the worlds between the different companies. Him and CM Punk was definitely that guy to be like, oh, this is real. Like, not in terms of like the actual fighting, but in terms of just like, oh, like there are people behind this. They're not just characters. It's like when he went off script and he was sitting down and he did his little monologue in the mid 2010s. But CM Punk was he was the initiator and Cody Rhodes was like the driving force of just like, hey, like not only am I going to create competition and create space for other wrestlers to thrive, but I'm also going to develop myself and become this guy. So at the mainstay, I can be the face. And he kind of in that blended the worlds together. Because even years before, like the idea of there's this thing called kayfabe where you want to break character, you always have to be that character. Like Undertaker always had to be the dead man everywhere he went, he was always the dead man. So it was like this kind of idea of like, hey, you have to stick to the script. You have to stick to the script. If you're a good guy, you're a good guy. If you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. And you guys don't talk to each other. But him, CM Punk, they're kind of like the innovators in the sense of they were able to blur the lines between one, company rivalries and merging, and two, just breaking the reality cap on it to where it's like, hey, like we're not characters, we're also real people, but we can bring our characters of ourselves into our characters in the ring. So it's just like this whole blending of that, which I think that's the reason why it surged so much is because of just like the whole idea of it being taken, not taking itself more seriously, because I think it always took itself seriously, but in the sense of, hey, like we can bring ourselves here and there could be a different level of connection rather than just like, oh, that's a superhero.
So like the Undertaker couldn't be the Undertaker like outside of WWE. Is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah, pretty much everywhere he went, like if someone was like, hey, like Undertaker, like he had to be
yeah,
like for decades.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's only now, it's only now really, well, I guess he's retired, but it's only now he doesn't have to play the Undertaker role. He could just be Mark Calloway. He could just be Mark, you know? He doesn't have to be the Undertaker. He's just Mark.
Like kind of like Logan Paul, right? Like he's just Logan Paul.
Yeah, it's just Logan Paul. Like that's literally Logan Paul. Like he's just a really gifted guy, super charismatic, but also kind of an asshole. But that's just him,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know?
What did you think of his match, Shava? Because I know you're probably not as familiar with him.
Um, well, he fought like an older well, Femi was telling me like the other guy he's like another OG, like he's been there forever. So, um I think probably fighting like a younger guy, the whole thing would have been more athletic. Um, but he has moves. He has really good athleticism.
Yes. Wait, so what
Uh,
was your favorite match?
Ah, I think the heavyweights, the McIntyre, because they like even destroyed the announcers table and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like they went like they used the whole scenario, like the whole stage. I feel like
Wait,
um
I think you're referring to the Fatal 4-Way match, the match that had Penta in it.
is that the one where they they slammed, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
One day
Braun
they
Breaker
slammed into the
speared he
announcer.
speared Carlito. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heavyweights did the table thing.
Yeah, where Damien fell backwards and he fell to both those tables.
Yeah, like the heavyweights, and then I think the Randy Orton with the guy that smiles a lot. That guy's funny. Like that's comedy to me. Like he's really
Yeah.
funny.
And you see, like that's
Yeah,
the perfect thing. It's like you get that entertainment aspect where it's like a Joe Henry where he's just smiling at the camera. He's just like, and then you get like you get the athleticism aspect where you get like the Fatal Four match between Dom and Penta and Braun and Finn. Like you get the aspects of it. So it's like a full package thing, you know?
Yeah. But what do you guys
because
what did you guys think of it? Like with your experience watching all these WrestleManias, where does this one stack up?
See,
see, so
okay.
I'm gonna go along with
I know exactly what we're going to say. We're gonna say the exact same shit.
that. Go for it.
But okay, so I think our favorite WrestleMania has to be okay. So when we were kids, my brother, his friend was hosting WrestleMania 25. And at that time, like you couldn't stream it. There was no such thing as streaming. So you have to pay-per-view it. And to be honest, I didn't know too many people that pay-per-view things. So like to be able to like watch like a pay-per-view, like an actual live pay-per-view thing, it was like huge. And we saw so many like great matches. I remember like we saw the Hardy Boys, like their match was incredible. And we saw Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, which is like now like one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. It just like it was so even it was in a small living room. It was just a bunch of kids on like maybe like a 50-inch screen, but it felt like we were there with the crowd. Like it just felt so immersive and it felt larger than life, even just being watching it on the couch. So that's to me, that's always number one because like one, it was like the first pay-per-view I ever watched, and two, it was like first WrestleMania I ever watched. And it had like one of the greatest matches of all time. It was just such a culmination of just all great things all at once. So that's number one
Yeah,
for me.
because I remember when like my friend Ari asked me like, "Hey, do you want to come?" And I was like, "Oh shit! Like, can I invite my brother?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I gotta wait to tell him because like I want to make sure he's like super excited right before we go." So like, I told him about it, and then like literally like when my dad was gonna drop me off, I was like, "Femi, you want to come?" He was like, "Fuck yeah!"
I was so excited when he invited me. 'Cause I was just like, yeah, like this is what I've been waiting for, you know? 'Cause I was like, I was just waiting for him to kind of tell me the story. So like, yo, what happened? What happened? Because like Chava, I don't think you understand. Like me and my brother, when I tell you we were wrestling fans, like we studied wrestling. Like it was like we had a paper due. Like I'm talking about from like the things from all the way to the beginning, like the match. Like we were like 9 years old watching like the old school stuff, and we loved it. And then we watched like we had this DVD of like one of the pay-per-view events called Backlash. It was like in the year '05, and we watched that DVD religiously. Like it was pretty much any time we were bored, we're like, let's just throw that on, just to have it on.
Yeah,
Like we loved wrestling as kids.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
See, from this one though, because a lot of people said that like, oh, like I expected more. Or like you weren't even like the only people that like I've heard that probably would have expected more from it. But I just see it as okay, they have this guy's contract for a couple more weeks. They have to sort of build it out to make people still interested to watch things later. Because to me, once you kind of get that, like, oh, like he's officially gone, like John Cena's officially gone, it's like that's it. Like you kind of use that orange up and juice everything else. So I feel like because they have so much more to offer with like the remaining days that he has, it just makes things interesting on like how they plan on shaking it up. Because they always think about, the story inevitably, right? So it just makes whatever happens next a bit more intriguing and you just wonder how they're gonna play it. You know, because to me, when it comes to everything, like I just like the idea that whenever they position someone in means to elevate their career, it just wonders like, okay, like why did they choose this moment? Was it because people started saying it? Was it because it was just the most interesting thing at the time? But there's so many reasons why they choose to do things. Like even the one that happened last year, it wasn't going to happen, right? Like you because I think that time they had The Rock versus Roman Reigns, and they're like, this is going to be the big build for WrestleMania 40, right? Like, this is what we want to see. But then everyone was like, nah, we kind of want to see Cody try to get it again. Like, I think that'd be more interesting because he lost last year. You had this guy, like, you know, uh, fighting and grinding to try to beat this guy who seems to be unbeatable. It just makes more sense if they went to go see him. So then they changed it because everyone was like, yeah, I mean, this is what they want to see. So we can't just ignore everyone. So I think it's always interesting to see how they pivot, right? Because you never really know who in the future is going to be the person that makes everything a bit more sustainable to push an era past, right? Like there's so many different things that I feel like have to be positioned each week, each month that have to make people understand that this is something that could potentially be greater than it is or could just fall off once time goes by.
And
And as the time of me stopped watching it for so long and not really seeing how all this stuff had evolved, it was interesting to see like where they're taking it now because basically how you imagine it is they've been writing a show like season by season since like the 80s.
Yeah.
pretty much, pretty much.
Which is like when you think about it, so in a nutshell, the hardest thing you possibly do. So when it's entertaining to watch, you're like, okay, you guys struggle because to continuously do it year after year. I'm like, damn, how do you guys keep coming up with ideas? Like it almost seems like you would have run out at this point.
Yeah.
And some seasons are better than others.
Yeah.
You know, because there's definitely been like years in wrestling where I stopped watching it because I was like, oh, this is boring. But it was kind of like it was one of those things where it's like, oh, the seasons have gotten better because they got new writers. Essentially, that's what it feels like. Like, oh, it's back.
So this
But
one, yesterday's, where
mm,
would you put it? Like top five, top 10, lower?
I wouldn't put it in my top 10.
I wouldn't put it in my top 10
Okay.
either.
Yeah.
But it was definitely very entertaining. Like there's definitely moments, there were highlight moments for me where I was like, this is great. Like for me, a highlight was like when Dominic won the Intercontinental title and he like ran in the middle of the ring and he was like doing the whole thing. I was like, yo, this guy is like he's gonna be like the guy. Because like the Intercontinental title is like a mid-card title. It's a title that they give mid-card talent. So anyone who's in the mid-card has the opportunity to get it. But the way they were cheering him, it was like he won the WWE title. And I was like, I was like, wow, this guy, I was like, there's something special about Dominic as a character. So it kind of made me invested. And it almost kind of gave me the ideas of like why I liked CM Punk or why I liked, or I still like him, but but like when I was like a fan, like when I was a kid, uh, Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy. It was like this guy who had swagger. He was cool, whether you liked him or hate him. He was just kind of like one of those guys where it's just he had like a cool factor to him, and it was like kind of like one of those things where Dom has a cool factor to him. So to me, like that's definitely a highlight. You know, seeing the John Henry thing that was funny. I like that. Um, I'm trying to think. What was another good highlight? Uh,
So
I did like the Damian Priest match, but to me, it wasn't my top 10.
what's the deal with John Cena? Because it gave me the impression that most people don't like him. Is it because they like the other guy better, or he in general is not liked?
So, from the perspective of like almost like a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, where people just like things that go against the grain a bit, and whenever something seems too paramount, it's just natural human instinct to just hate on it. And because he's been someone that's been like polarized as like the face, just in terms of longevity, when you want to see things change, you just, tend to either boo him or cheer him just from that aspect of like, yeah, we kind of want to see things a bit different now. I think one of the main reasons why it is, so big now is because he decided that like he wanted to be perceived as like hated, which is something that he's never done before. So it just makes everything he does from now until when he retires the most interesting thing he's done in like the past 20 years. So I think that's probably like the main reason why most people are like this is going to be entertaining because we want to see how far this guy can go in a new role he's never done before. Right. And again, it's so funny because like the whole thing is so meta, right? Because everyone knows it's not real, right? Like everyone is aware of that, but there's just this idea of like, okay, like even the fact that, you take a character and you watch the character progress for so many years, like even the idea that like maybe like 20 years ago is when he won for the first time. It's just crazy to think that you watch someone for 20 years be so consistent week by week, month by month. And it's just like saying, okay, like what else can come up from this relationship that we've had of me watching you do these things for so many years? Like how far can you push it? It's just it's definitely one in its own. Like I can't like it's so hard to explain. Like when people don't get wrestling, like the only thing I can say is like just like imagine like a circus every single week,
Yeah.
right? And everyone is just engaged in every single thing that the people running the circus have to do, right? Like every single aspect of the circus is documented and monetized, and it just makes it even bigger than any circus you could possibly imagine. Like even when you saw those first shots of like how big the stadium was, you're just like, damn, like they have a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Like and even seeing that, like a full football stadium filled with people,
For 2 days.
even if you're not for 2 days, right? It's like even if you're not a fan, you're just like, that's impressive. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
two
Yeah.
full
For sure.
stadiums or just these people in the center of the ring, you have to give them some sort of acknowledgement that they're doing something that people really appreciate. So like, yeah, even when it's not good, it's still like, amazing. And I honestly think it's just the idea that when it comes to, you know, again, the idea of like spectacle situations, right? Like I think weirdly, there's just so many small things that I feel like wrestling has like ingratiated itself into popular culture. Like even when I was telling family, like it's so weird. Like most people don't acknowledge it, but it's just so prominent. Like even the fact that you and fellow walked out to the Undertaker's music, like it's like one of those things. It's just like, yeah, this exists. It's a part of the culture. Like maybe you're not the biggest fan of it, but like it exists in the zeitgeist in your head of something that has meant something in your life at some point.
100%.
And then what did you guys think about the last fight?
Okay. So my opinion on it, when John Cena walked out and his music played and it was just black lettering or black background with white font and it just said John Cena, I was like, what the hell is going on? And when the match was going on, the pacing was decent, but it just kind of felt weird. And then when Travis Scott came out, I was like, what? This is crazy. Not crazy like this is wild, but it's just crazy like, is this really the main event? And honestly, when John won the title, I was like, okay, I wasn't surprised because it is his last year and he's the guy. So he's not getting the title at WrestleMania. So in it, my initial thoughts on it was just like, this is trash. Um, like I did not fuck with it at all. I was like, yo, this is not good. And then I saw his Pat McAfee interview, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I get it now. So in his Pat McAfee interview, he was just like, I'm going to destroy the concept of wrestling. And what he meant by that was not like just take down wrestling and like just destroy it as an entity, but it's just the concept of the idea of being booed and having to be like, oh, I'm the bad guy, so I have to be booed. Or like even just like if you're a good guy and like you're not liked, like, oh, I just have to take it on the chin. Like he's just like, I gave so much to these people and for them to not appreciate it or for me not to kind of show who I am, he's just like, fuck that. So his whole thing is just like, I'm just gonna tear down the fabric of this idea of I have to ignore the crowd and just play the character. Like he's like, I just don't want to play the character anymore. I just want to be John Cena. And John Cena, it was a great wrestler, generational, greatest of all time now because he has a record 17 time. He's beating Ric Flair, generational guy. So his thing is just like he didn't want to give too much because obviously the story. He always got the idea of like he doesn't want to say too much about the story, but he's just like I just don't want to be like, oh, I'm the guy with the colorful shirts and I did the thing that you can't see me and peace, guys. He's like, no, like I'm gonna show you that I'm just John Cena. And like fuck all the conceptions of just like I had to be this character. Like, no, I'm just gonna be John Cena. I'm just the guy. And I was like, okay, I get it. But it was I didn't like
Yeah.
the match initially. This year I was not fucking with it. I was like, no, this is trash. But
See, to me, right? Like, you know, I think the way that they're pulling it all together makes sense when you think of each aspect of what they've been doing since the start of January. Like to me, even Travis Scott being there made sense. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, what the fuck is he doing?" Just like celebrity cameo. But like, it's not only the idea that he is now like a serious investor in the WWE, like The Rock is, that he has like the theme music of Raw, that he's like the one of the biggest fans. It just to me it just makes sense that he would be there for the thing that they're trying to position John Cena at, right? So it's just to me it tied together well. I think, especially in terms of like the way you see certain things, right? Like especially how he has projected of how he wanted to perform. It made sense. Like it's almost like their version of like the Red Wedding. Like you're not really gonna be happy about this, but what's gonna happen is gonna make what happens later a better payoff, right? Like everything is just about carrying that story. So even the idea the match not being as good as maybe the one last year or previous ones. One, I was like, okay, this dude's 50. So let's start there. All right. I was like, two, they want him to last a while, so he's not gonna like, throw shit to the fan and hurt himself. Right. So it's just like to me it made sense. Like I think when it finally comes to a head, that last one is probably going to be the more entertaining one where you can start to see things like blood and people using like crazy instruments to maim themselves for the pleasure of millions. I I think that's where you get the payoff, right? So this was kind of like a nice little teaser to what they expect to happen later. So I thought it was good. Was it the best? Fuck no. Honestly, like to open off with the match that you saw, the triple threat with the women, I thought that was a good match to open off with, right? Because because again, even if you're not someone who's super familiar with watching, you just see like, okay, like they clearly got good chemistry. They're moving around pretty fluidly. It looks fun. Like they look like they're doing something interesting, right? So like I could tell, that the way that they were positioning this one, especially for like a number like 41, like after you just had the 40th, it's not going to be like the biggest one that they had, but it's definitely going to keep the show going, as they say.
And so who's like after John Cena, who's like the next guy up? Like the biggest guy is gonna be
So it was John Cena, and then it was Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was he's like Samoan guy. The WWE loves Samoans. Triple H loves Samoans. But Roman Reigns, like he was like big, strong guy, kind of had that, he had that it factor, right? He was big, strong, super athletic. He was kind of that guy for the 2010s, kind of like when John Cena was transitioning towards acting. And then now it's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is kind of that guy, but Cody Rhodes is kind of now getting that John Cena treatment where it's like, why do we like you? Boo. Because it's like the ultimate good guy where like 'cause that's the thing about the WWE is like what made the Attitude Era so good was like dudes like Stone Cold Steve Austin were like they were not good guys. He beat the boss every single time. He flicked off everybody. He drank beer. He sloshed around the ring. But like people loved it because he was just like fuck everything. Like, I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want. It was kind of like the anti-hero thing.
yeah.
So like when you have like this guy that's just like I'm the good guy always, it's like the crowd is just like, bro, we had Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like now it's like once we experience that, it's like you can't just feed us a good guy, so we're gonna boo. I mean, we honestly, the people booing, honestly, they love Cody Rhodes, but it's just like the idea of like forcing us to like somebody as the W fans is kind of like we don't want to like him because you said we had to like him. So that just kind of creates this rebellious kind of boo thing. So Cody Rhodes is kind of like the guy. He's kind of going through the John Cena effect right now. But I mean, I like Cody Rhodes still. I still
Yeah.
think he's great. I think he's fantastic.
Who's gonna challenge him now? Like now that John Cena's
See, it's funny. Like just now, I had like Raw queued up, and like John Cena was talking, and then Randy Orton came out. Yeah, hit him with his, move, and then like held up the title. So like, see, to me, it's like okay, like clearly they're trying to do something different, right? Because you in your mind you just go, okay, they're both around the same age, right? They're both kind of on borrowed time. Like even if Randy Orton was to have a little situation with John, it wouldn't end with Randy on top. So that's why it just breeds your curiosity. Like, okay, like what are they gonna do? Like, are they gonna make it like old guard versus new guard? Which could be interesting because again, like those two already are pretty athletic, even though they're, you know, have more yesterdays than tomorrows, as I would say. But they're still they're still active, right? So like it just makes it like okay, like how would they position it to give someone like the face of the company, Cody, a constant battle to make it intriguing? Because like you can't keep like, you know, recycling the same antagonists year after year after year. You have to sort of give it an edge, and I think they did a good job of that yesterday or this past weekend in general, just because you almost forget how much talent that they do have there. Like with the one on Saturday, with like Seth Rollins and them, it just puts in your mind like, oh no, like there's still like a good amount of people that like could still carry a torch, to use a metaphor, and everything would still be as entertaining. So I honestly think Randy's good, Seth is good. CM Punk's still a little old, but he's good. Uh,
Ron is
yeah,
still good.
yeah, and even so, like I honestly think probably next year they're probably gonna do something with like Logan to probably put him in that position
100%.
because again, like to me, acquiring him from the business is just the best strategic play because you don't really have to market any hate. He's just sort of hated for no reason, right? So like even pushing him upwards towards that trajectory would just make sense too. I'm just curious to see how they play it all out because they have a lot of great talent in their roster.
And Lua, what do you think about them buying the Mexican group, the AAA?
See, you know what's funny? Like when I saw it happen, a part of me was thinking, like, did someone approach Vince about that years ago? And he's like, I don't want that Mexican shit. Because it seemed like something that it seemed like something that would have happened already.
I think I would say 75% of the things Vince is like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like 75% of the things is going on right now.
Yeah. To me, it definitely makes sense, right? Because like, when you have like a monopoly group like TKO that owns the UFC and WWE, it almost is weird to find yourself in a separate faction of existence and not seem to benefit off of that platform because now they have Netflix, they have Peacock, they have talent that they can pay
EW.
more. They can stream their own individual pay-per-views. They can get merch now from their sources. It
Yeah.
just makes them upset. I really don't know why they didn't do it years ago. Like, I was surprised that it just happened, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it's like that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, it comes from that traditional sense, right? I think Vince, he broke the barrier of like, I'm gonna take all the American talent and I'm gonna create the WWF. So like he did that. But then Vince kind of create this thing where he's like, okay, you have your brand, I have my brand, and we're just gonna keep it at that. You're gonna have your brands. So now it's like this is like the second wave. Triple H is kind of doing the Vince thing where he's just like, I'm just gonna take up all the competition, buy them. And now it's just gonna be like this global phenomenon. It's just growing the brand bigger, bigger, getting people more opportunity to wrestle, right? And get their name out there. 'Cause I mean, Triple A has like legends that came from it, like La Parca, even Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
What's that one guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name? He kind of had he had a what was his name?
Juventus,
Not
the
Juventus.
The
He
mask,
was
the white
his
mask.
name's no, what was his name? He had like white face paint and he was like a white guy.
Hmm.
Why am I blanking on his name?
See. Octagon.
No, not him.
This guy?
No, he had face paint. He had face paint.
we only have a minute left, so
Yeah. But
Okay,
yeah,
I'll send it in the group chat. But yeah, it was just like, it was that separation. It
yeah,
was
I
that
think
kind of
now
like
with social media and streaming services, it's just easier because back then I think it would have been a much like headache to like try to merge like something from Mexico and something. So I think it makes sense now.
yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, that was a good introduction for me for this world. So I'll try to keep up.
it was definitely even if you don't watch the weekly ones, just watch like the ones on Peacock monthly.